Howdy, folks. So I guess I'll start this lesson by first just giving a little context or whatnot for the text or whatnot, right? Well, before I even give context to the text, I guess I'm gonna focus on the screen right here, to give point out where we are or whatnot on the general outline of the spring semester. So these first 4 weeks or whatnot, we've been dealing with the revisionist dispute or whatnot, right? In the first 2 weeks, we read Revolutionary Leadership, which was just kind of a framing week, and then we read Rosa Luxemburg's Reform or Revolution or whatnot. Both of those were the context of the revisionist dispute in Germany. We already kind of, before this recording went on, we already kind of talked about how, what the revisionist dispute was in Germany or whatnot, right? So that was the whole German context of the revisionist dispute. This week, so these last 2 weeks, so last week when we read Lenin and the Vanguard Party, which was another framing week, and now we're reading, what is to be done. This is, in some sense, the revisionist dispute in the Russian context or whatnot, right? Yeah. So with that said, or whatnot, let me scroll down here or whatnot to, I guess, pull up this timeline here and explain it. So I guess explain if people remember, so what's going on in Germany or whatnot, so in Germany you have a mass party, or the Socialist Party, or Social Democracy, the Social Democratic Party of Germany or whatnot, right, is a mass party, it's a legal movement or whatnot. Opportunism arises, with the growth of this movement or whatnot, right? And that's a German context. So Luxemburg publishes Reform or Revolution and says hey, this is a growing tendency in Germany or whatnot. What we need to do or not is, in some sense, recognize it and try to eliminate it or whatnot. Let's go from Germany and now let's turn our heads to what's going on in Russia. So we'll start by saying so in Russia or whatnot, right? You have in 1898 you have the founding of the RSDLP. So the RSDLP is the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party or whatnot. So in Germany you have the SPD, the Social Democracy, and Social Democracy in Germany. In Russia you have the RSDLP, Russian Social Democracy or whatnot, right? So the revisionist dispute in Russia, how it takes form or whatnot, right, is in the form of economism. So what economism is in Russia is basically the dominant tendency, or the dominant tendency in the workers' movement, in which basically social democrats who think economic trade unions, economism is basically social democrats who think the economic trade union struggle is sufficient for the struggle for socialism. Politically they tailgate the liberal bourgeoisie as it argues for, against an independent workers' party. It's Bernstein's revisionism in Germany or whatnot is the whole idea that we could just reform our way to socialism. Economism in Russia is something very similar, except the difference there or whatnot is, whereas Bernstein is a minority in Russia or whatnot, Bernstein's revisionism, whereas the opportunism is a minority tendency in Germany. In Russia, it's the dominant tendency, and so most of the workers' movement actually has most of the workers' movement, at least most of the workers' movement actually takes on a more economistic stance or whatnot, right? And with that said, also Russia does also have Russia's also a quasi-feudal regime, so the economist's argument or whatnot in some sense has much more of a real basis than it does in Germany, because the economists in Russia justify themselves also on this idea that insofar as Russia's a feudal regime, we need to wait, we need to actually we need to follow the liberals or whatnot, right, in leading a bourgeois revolution or whatnot, right, in leading these more fair economic policies or whatnot, right, for the workers or whatnot, right. So that's basically what's going on in Russia in 1898. I guess the response. So the response to the revisionist dispute in Russia is in 1900s or whatnot is the founding of Iskra. Iskra, which stands for, I believe, light or ignition or whatnot, right, is basically this revolutionary underground newspaper or whatnot, established by Lenin, who we're about to talk about or whatnot, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin or whatnot, and this other guy named, I can't remember his first name, but Martov or whatnot, right? They and also Plekhanov, who's known as the father of Russian Marxism, and the reason why he's known that is just because he's the one who made Marxism popular to he's the one who made Marxism popular in Russia or whatnot. In the same way as like Karl Kautsky in Germany or whatnot was the leading theoretician or the Pope of Marxism in Germany. Karl Kautsky is the father of Marxism in Russia or whatnot. So Plekhanov, Lenin, and Martov or whatnot basically start a newspaper called Iskra. Iskra is basically this revolutionary underground newspaper establishing a network across Russia to establish a party with a firm political line. So that's the purpose of Iskra. Let's see. And then I guess as part of Iskra, after the party founding, so Iskra, the purpose of Iskra in a sense or whatnot is to actually fight against economism and the workers' movement by having this newspaper be like sent out to like different like social democratic organizations, different trade unions, different like factories or whatnot. So it's a newspaper in some sense to be like, hey, like we cannot just settle for the economic trade struggle, or we need to go beyond this economic trade struggle for more of the political struggle. This is the whole purpose of Iskra, in some sense, like to fight opportunism or fight economism in Russia, with fight economism in Russia by trying to like espouse more revolutionary ideas or whatnot, right? Or espouse a more orthodox line or whatnot in regards to Marxism. Lenin's contribution Lenin's primary contribution to Iskra is his pamphlet "What Is to Be Done," and I guess that's going to be the whole lesson today. So Lenin publishes "What Is to Be Done" in 1902. Which in some sense is kind of a predecessor to kind of the whole controversy of what follows, Lenin's What Is to Be Done is a kind of a prelude to the Bolshevik-Menshevik split that occurs in 1903. I guess just talking a little bit about what is to be done, because we're going to talk much more extensively about this in a second or not, right? Actually, I'm trying to think, what do I want to say about Lenin's What Is to Be Done? Well, I guess I should just know, it's a super controversial. Well, when Lenin publishes it, it's not controversial, or it's not necessarily controversial, but it becomes much more controversial the very next year. Because what happens in 1903 is you have the second Congress of the RSDLP or whatnot. So basically, all these what's called social democratic organizations within Russia, they all come together, meet up. They meet up in, I believe, Munich or something, or they meet at some place, or they meet up in some place in Russia or whatnot, right? They all meet up or whatnot. At this point, because of the work of Iskra or whatnot, you have a firm Iskra majority in the Congress, So they have a bunch of sessions or whatnot where they debate a bunch of issues. The two primary sessions that come out during this time or whatnot is the 22nd session, where in the 22nd session there's basically a fight between Lenin and Martov. Remember, they're both of them being founders of Iskra. Lenin and Martov fight over this question regarding membership or whatnot, where Lenin basically says hey, in order to be a member of the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, you have to agree to three things, or you have to agree to three conditions. You have to, 1, accept our party program. 2, you have to support the party financially, and 3, you must belong to one of the party's organization. The idea there that Lenin has is that these are the 3 conditions Lenin has. Accept the party program, support the party financially, and belong to one of the party's organizations. Martov basically says no, membership should be defined as you don't need to belong to a party organization, but you could work under the direction of one of them or whatnot, right? So it's just, the idea is okay, if you join our organization or whatnot, you could be a member or whatnot, whereas Lenin or whatnot has a very strict definition of membership or whatnot. The difference between them or whatnot is Lenin's idea is strict membership in the RSDLP or whatnot will prevent or will discourage opportunists from joining into the party or whatnot and diluting it or whatnot. Martov's whole idea is that you can't legislate against opportunism, and this is hugely controversial. And this controversy within the 22nd session, Martov wins by a slight majority or whatnot over Lenin, but I guess Lenin wins later that year or whatnot when the 27th session happens, where in the 27th century, two things happen or whatnot, where basically you have one social democratic group called the Jewish Bundists, or that are called the Bundists or whatnot, where the Bundists basically they opt to remain an independent Jewish organization, so they actually leave the RSDLP or whatnot, being like, actually no, we don't want to be part of this organ or whatnot, right? So they leave the RSDLP. The second thing that happens is the economists, or like a lot of the economist tendencies or whatnot, start to opt out of the party after Iskra is determined to be the sole representative of Russian social democracy in the Second International. So I guess the main success of Iskra is that within the RSDLP or whatnot, because of all their underground activity that they were working on for the last 2 years or whatnot, this leads them to have a majority or whatnot, and this allows them to be like, hey, we're going to we are the representatives of Russian social democracy in the Second International. So it's a huge victory or whatnot, right? For Lenin, Martov, Plekhanov, for all of the Iskra riots or whatnot, right? However, a controversy happens right after this or whatnot, because what happens or whatnot after this, like a huge celebration of like, oh yay, look, we fought off against this opportunist tendency, is Lenin reduces the Iskra editorial board from 6 to 3, and like this is hugely controversial because it's like, wait, because a lot of the members on the Iskra board or whatnot are like very popular figures or whatnot. They're seen, like in some sense they're all seen as kind of like founders of the movement or whatnot. Lenin basically says like, hey, actually, like in order to have like a much more rigid formation, let's change the Iskra board from 6 members to 3, and nobody likes this at all, or like most people are highly against it, because Lenin basically says, hey, we should only have 3 people on board. We should have me, Plekhanov, and Martov on board or whatnot, right? And like, I guess specific note there, Lenin and Plekhanov agreed with the idea of like having a much more strict membership. Martov was the only one who said like, no, we should have a much more looser membership. So people are mad at Lenin because it's like, oh, you're clearly doing this for your own personal political favor or whatnot, right? Super controversial. So controversial, in fact, that even though Lenin kind of takes this as like, this is just like as a little thing or whatnot, it actually leads to a factional split between the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. Bolsheviks meaning like the majority faction, and the Mensheviks meaning the minority faction. So the RSDLP or whatnot, it goes from being this basically one party organ or whatnot, the RSDLP goes from being one party or whatnot with kind of like a more unified group or whatnot, to splitting into 2 different factions between the Bolsheviks, which means majority, and Mensheviks, meaning minority or whatnot. So they become competing factions. Let me think. Where to go from here? Yeah, and then what's it called? So that's the Bolshevik-Menshevik split. That becomes very significant on later in the syllabus when we start to talk about the 1917 revolution and how that actually takes form. But basically here are the origins of the split between the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. In 1904, so a couple of things that happened after this period where it's like, so unlike Luxembourg, once he publishes the Reformer Revolution, where like the orthodoxy has her back or whatnot, where they say like, oh yes, like they like everyone's like celebrating Luxembourg's Reformer Revolution as as an argument, or like as a what's called polemic against the revisionists. Lenin is in some senses in a very different situation, where like after the Bolshevik and Menshevik split or whatnot, like the entire the Second International in some sense like kind of turns their back on Lenin or whatnot, right? In some sense, the like Karl Kautsky, August Bebel, the leaders of the German social democracy, in some sense like the leaders of the Second International, like they sided with the Mensheviks or whatnot. Trotsky actually, during this time, Trotsky actually goes to the Mensheviks. Luxembourg publishes a polemic against Lenin or whatnot, because what a lot of people and there's many various reasons for like people being like highly discontented with Lenin kind of like splitting the Bolshevik the party into, or not party, dividing the RSDLP into the Bolsheviks and Mensheviks, because a lot of people think that like what Lenin is doing is in some sense just he's splitting the party for no reason or whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't immediately clear for people like at that time or whatnot. And what's it called? Another thing that happens is Plekhanov, who even though he was with Lenin or whatnot in regards to like having a much more strict membership or whatnot, he actually, like Plekhanov as the founder of Russian Marxism or whatnot, he has a certain influence or power or whatnot on the editorial board. So what Plekhanov does is Plekhanov undoes Lenin's resolution of reducing the Iskra board or whatnot. And what this leads to is Lenin basically resigns Iskra out of disgust or whatnot, right? So an organization he founded or whatnot, along with Plekhanov and Markov, he basically resigns, being like, oh, well, it's like, oh, okay, so because Plekhanov just says like, okay, this reduction actually we're gonna undo. We're gonna invite those 3 people that we threw off the editorial board. We're gonna invite them back in or whatnot, right? And basically, so Lenin and his Bolshevik faction, whatnot, basically they established their own newspaper called Viper. I can't pronounce my Russian. Viperod, right? Yeah, I'm trying to think. And then Iskra starts to publish polemics against Lenin or whatnot during this time period. Next week we're going to start dealing with the what's it called the 1905 revolution, in which in some sense we can see all the what the revisionist dispute in Russia leads to politically, because right now in a sense or not the revisionist dispute in Russia is very theoretical in a sense or not, right? Next, in 1905 we're about to see what this means politically and pragmatically or not, right, in regards to the movement. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit of the historical context for what is to be done.